Wow, I cannot believe it. Gate 7 is 1 year old. Can you believe it?
I really cannot. Time flies so fast, and this book is already hitting its 1 year milestone zone.
Look, it's crazy. And you know, while this entire year has been going on, I personally have been waiting for a true conversation with
Girl, me too. I've been waiting way too long.
Look, well, that's why we're here right now. It's Zoe
and Zion,
and we're here with the author herself, Naïké Kasongo.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
A year waiting.
Okay, so before we really get into some of the harder hitting questions,
Okay.
I wanted to ask personally, before I hear your favorite one, who was your favorite character design?
I don't know, because I feel like I can kind of relate to like all of them at the same time. All of like the good characteristic parts of like each, character. I feel like, or like I take some of Celeste's spice, but I also have some of Timothy's emotional side, but I also carry some of Bryce's side. Kelly, just favor on her because I got favor too. So it's really like a mix of like all of them.
So your favorite is all of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
More so, you know what? I would lean a little more towards Timothy.
Okay.
But yeah. What about you?
So a year is a long time. Let me tell you why. Because in the beginning, I probably would have said Timothy, but now I think I've converted to Celeste. Look, I had a love-hate relationship with Celeste, but honestly, thinking about it, I think I could relate to her the most.
Okay.
And I think that's why she's my favorite because, we'll get into it, but I really like her as a character.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Awesome.
It is. So, did you have fun writing one character more than the other? How did you feel?
Not necessarily that I have fun writing about one more than the other. I think all of them, just like Zion said, all of them were very interesting. They were interesting to see them evolve. It was interesting to see them even within the tension of what was happening in their lives at that moment. And yeah, I must say that Kelly, for sure, it was a different vibe what I was writing about her. I felt very close to her, very, just like the kind girl you want to meet, right? The girl you want to be a friend with. But all of them are very interesting. Yeah.
I also wanted to ask, how do you feel? It's been a year of Gate 7, and it's a huge milestone to have as an author. How do you feel? Is Gate 8 coming? Like, what's happening? What's next?
Well, I don't think there is any Gate 8, but
Gate 9.
I honestly, so skip the 8. Okay. I feel very grateful. Very grateful. I think it was scary to get the story out there when something has been part of you for so long, and you get to actually love the characters that you're writing about. You love the story. I really, really genuinely love the story of Gate 7. So I'm just grateful that it's out there, grateful that I've received the support and the reviews that we received. So just grateful.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. I'm very happy.
Yeah, same.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And this book caused me to think a little bit more past some of the things I usually pay attention to.
Okay.
Like, when I'm watching movies or reading a book and there's romance, I always get caught up in the romance.
Oh, you do?
I do. I always do because it's just so sweet. You put yourself in the character's shoes.
Right,
And it's just sweet to see that. It's like, oh, I want this for my life, or I don't want this for my life, kind of thing.
Okay.
But I was realizing with Gate 7, there was a lot more besides the romance going on.
For sure.
So I wanted to kind of pick your brain on some of those things, especially first, I'm thinking with the airport. I mean, the book is called Gate 7.
Right.
So at first when I was reading it, I didn't even think of airport actually. Yeah. But then you start and then you see the airport is not just the beginning of the book. It comes here, it comes there. It's a recurring setting in the book.
Right.
So was that purposeful? You're thinking about people coming, they're traveling, they can kind of think of where they've been or where they're going. Timothy and Celeste, without giving too much, they keep meeting each other there.
Right.
So was there a purpose behind it being an airport? What were you?
Yeah.
What was the thought?
I will say that. Thank you for that question. I will say that the airport setting is actually one of the settings that is very close to me as an author, because a lot of the themes within the book are not necessarily part of my life per se, but the airport really is. I love traveling, so purposely wanted to have an airport somewhere. I didn't necessarily intentionally plan to have it come back every single time, but it felt interesting to use the airport setting for them to keep meeting. But that's really what the author, that's me, that's Naike, the airport. I love traveling. When I travel, I love just sitting at the gate. I like to watch people.
Yeah.
I like to imagine who's that person, where they going, where they coming from.
People watching.
That person looks successful.
Yeah.
Oh, that person looks sad. So I love to observe people at the airport. I just love the airport vibe. So I think that's more what that is about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So truly
But
you like it.
right, but interesting enough, when you read the story, it kind of makes sense because the airport is also that middle place. Like you're not really where you're supposed to be, but you're no longer where you are. You're going somewhere. So you can see how the airport theme kind of helped with the theme of the story. But yeah, that's more my preference.
But it adds a lot to the book, really.
Okay.
Yeah. At least the plot and the relationship that Celeste and Timothy have, like you can see that connecting with their back and forth. You see it kind of reflected in the nature of an airport. So it's interesting.
That's great. I'm curious, do you think if I had picked another setting, do you think it would have been the same? Like, let's say they were meeting at a park or at a coffee shop somewhere.
I would definitely say for me, if I answer, I feel like it wouldn't make a difference because it doesn't matter how much they go about their ways when they leave. They still come to a midpoint where they leave. And so whether it was an airport or a beach or a cafe or a restaurant, they still meet at a midpoint that caused them to create that tenseness that was happening throughout the book. So I would definitely say that.
Yeah, I feel like the tension, I would say I would feel the difference with the airport, but that's also because I read through it and I'm like, I would be comparing the two. But with the nature of the airport, it's like, hey, I have a flight, so I can't linger here.
Right.
But the tension is from wanting them to linger with each other and have more conversation. And we learn.
It adds a little bit of tension because I can't really sit here with you.
Right, exactly. And then as characters, it's like, we learn through the conversations they're having. Yeah, we have the thought process sometimes in some chapters, but when they have conversations, we get to see that progression. So if they're not having conversations, nothing's progressing.
And I think it's almost annoying because you're like, oh, what flight you need to catch? Like just sit there for a little bit longer.
Yeah, let's move on.
Right.
No, but I think it added a lot.
Yeah. All right, cool. Awesome.
Now, speaking of the airport, one thing that I saw immediately was that even though Celeste and Timothy were complete strangers, never seen each other, never met, when they saw each other for the first time at Gate 7, they saw something familiar in each other. So I wanted to ask if you purposely put that as an author to show that there was something deeper than just an attraction that they had when they saw each other, but the tenseness, the tension that was there, and also, like the word in the book that is played a lot, fate. Do you think that they were realizing at the beginning, this might be someone that I actually may create life with?
That's a very good question. If you read the first scene when they meet, you can tell that they could feel something was different, but it was not necessarily a physical attraction just yet. Because Celeste, she gotta go, she has something to do. She wasn't really looking at him that much, but she felt something. And he also felt something like an interest, like, oh, who is this person? So it wasn't necessarily a physical attraction. It was not that, it was something a little bit deeper. And I think that can happen. Sometimes you meet people and you don't know who they are, but when you have 1 minute conversation with them, it feels like you've known them your entire life. And that happens in airports a lot, actually. And then you say bye, the person catches their flight, and then you never see them again. Right. So they were not necessarily attracted to each other at that moment, but they just felt something. But didn't have enough time. Again, this is an airport. Didn't have enough time to even ask what that is, or that was, I should say. But as soon as you go to the second scene where they get in the lounge, that's actually the first time where she really looks at him and goes, oh, okay. I can't look too much, but I'm noticing something here. So that first connection, if I can call it, was not really physical. It was more like interested, like curious about who the person is, but I don't have time to linger there.
And okay, that's a perfect point, because a thought I was having too is when we were talking about the airport was their point of connection most of the time when they're having conversations. But then outside of that, they're having these thoughts about one another, like, who is this? I've met them. But then also between them, we see these like little moments of silence, like, okay, I'm looking at them, I'm studying his face, I'm studying her face. Oh, she dressed this way the first time, now she's dressing like this. Does that mean this has happened in her life? So even in those kinds of reflective moments in silence, was that intentional that you were writing that in, or is that more just, oh, this is how people naturally interact? I don't know if you had any thoughts behind that.
So that's a very good question, by the way. I guess we're gonna go right into it. Huh? Okay.
We've been waiting here. We've been waiting for this.
So I'm the type of writer who don't really work with outlines. Okay. So I just, if I'm done with the scene, I turn off my computer. When I'm back, when I open up my computer again, I go, okay, so this is where I was. Where are we going? And I just start writing. That's usually how I write. So I don't have necessarily a plan as I'm writing. So I'm literally discovering their thoughts and their actions as I'm writing. I know kind of, that's usually how I write.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. But so to answer your question, I didn't anticipate silence per se, because I'm not necessarily comfortable with silence. If this was my doing, just me putting my thoughts into this only, then I would probably feel a lot of those silent moments with words, because I would be uncomfortable with just somebody just staring at me. Right.
Exactly.
But as I was writing, though, it felt at that moment like the right thing. It felt at that moment because those are two people who have a life. They have things that they are responsible for, so they know that I've been supposed to be staring at nobody right now, but they're staring. So that tension of what's happening right now and what I know I have behind me causes that silence. And at that moment, as I'm writing it, it felt right. Instead of explaining the tension, explaining the confusion, explaining the anger, because Celeste was mad a lot of times, explaining the stress, and then the confusion for Timothy. Try to explain what's happening here. It felt right to just have just no words, just that intense silent moment. And what I also do when I'm writing, I visualize a lot. So the whole time that I was writing those silent scenes, I was thinking, wow, if this was a movie, it would have been perfect, because the angle could show the detail of the face or the eyes, or things music, like that. The music, the score, we just add to that tension, that dramatic moment. But it felt right because sometimes you don't have to say much. When something you are feeling it in your heart, it's genuine, it's not forced, it's there. And you don't need to add a bunch of fillers to explain what's happening. It's happening to you at that moment. So that's what I believe, those silent moments. And they have them all throughout. Yes. I think one of my favorite scenes, we'll talk about it later maybe, but one of my favorite scenes actually is a silent scene throughout. And every time I read it, I always close the book and I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's the thing. I had a lot of those reactions in the silence. Because again, with like those kind of tense relationships, I have what I want to happen in my mind. So you're sitting in silence, I'm like, just say something already. But then other times, like again, when it marinates, like when the plot has marinated, and so I'm like, wow, I've converted from Timothy to Celeste. The silent moments used to make me, but now I'm like, no, I mean, they didn't know each other, but they learned each other, and you learn not just by what you say, but in the silent moments, I'm thinking through and I'm watching their body language. And so it's being present and just observing. That's true human interaction too. So.
That's interesting for me to listen to as an author, because though I didn't necessarily plan those silent moments, I am pleased to see that it's doing something that I didn't necessarily foresee, but I'm glad it's there. What it's doing, what I'm noticing, what you're saying is those silent moments gives the reader also time to have imagination. Like it just create that space.
I'm sorry. I was about to say, the silent moments is what got me having myself on roller coasters with this book the entire time. Because now I'm pulling up, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is gonna happen next, this is gonna happen next.
And it does not happen.
It doesn't happen. I'm like, hey, come on.
I mean, life is complicated.
It is.
Love is very complicated.
And I would definitely say, speaking of silent, like you were just talking about, I wanted to ask about the scene that created a nice silent moment whenever Timothy was teaching Celeste how to swim.
The pool scene.
The pool scene. I was very intrigued because not only that really showed how much the tension and the connection was actually starting to really build between Celeste and Timothy, but I think it also broke that barrier of them trying to figure out, is this someone that I can also trust?
Right.
So I wanted to ask if you intentionally created that moment to have a barrier breaking moment for both of the characters.
So it makes sense to me as I was writing about how they met that they had to meet again before they leave. They were stuck. They were stuck in that city and they had to meet again. I wanted them to be in a scene together where it's, again, not just about physical attraction here. A scene that normally should make both of them very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Now, Timothy, I don't want to spoil it too much for those who haven't read it, but Timothy was because of his character, he's very comfortable with that scene because, he's from California, he loves the water, he loves swimming. He's just a laid back, cool kind of guy. So for him, it's like, yeah, sure, I'll teach you how to swim, jump in. But for Celeste, she's a controlled, focused career woman.
Yeah.
I don't get in the pool with a stranger.
Yeah.
But there she was in a pool with the stranger. So for me, it was beyond the physical attraction, but it was more about, why am I feeling comfortable around this stranger? That should not be what you're supposed to. That doesn't look like me.
Right.
And I think it was to also introduce a side of her, where she's kind of dealing with her personal boundaries, things that she's put in place to protect herself, to be able to remain focused for work and things like that. And as you can see, I don't want to spoil it, as you can see, she kind of got out of there quickly. Like, oh, wait a minute, why am I in the water with you? Bye.
Yeah.
Right? But I think it was good to see them, to introduce both of their characters in a way that you can really see one of them is naturally very laid back, very optimistic, very positive, and the other one is more kind of, not negative, but more pessimistic, more controlled, more firm, and doesn't really allow herself to be. And so that's really what that scene was about. But again, remember, I go with the flow. The characters. There's no outline that said swim and then they meet. It just felt right for them to meet, and it felt right to add water again because of Timothy, because he loves the water. It's from San Diego and all that. So yeah.
I find it so fascinating that you had no outline because the way that the scenes flow from one another, like you're saying you were flowing, but I feel like it takes a lot, I don't know, maybe from my logical brain, I don't know how I'd be able to make things flow without having some kind of outline. But I'm saying that's fascinating to me because I recognize this tension that we keep bringing up.
Right.
It's not just between them, but also with themselves. We see Celeste, who's more firm, business-minded, this is my schedule, is kind of melting a little bit with Timothy. And then on the same side, he's also kind of adjusting for her because it's like, oh, why are you so tense? Like, what's going on? This doesn't make sense to me. So that kind of tension, not just between them, but even within themselves, and some of the other characters we could also talk about. Right. But was tension, what was your goal with those kinds of tensions? Were you thinking through character development? What did you intend for the reader to feel or to understand from them in that?
I think I wanted to show that life is complicated, that relationship is complicated, that feelings can always be black and white. There are so many shades of gray sometimes, and we have to be comfortable to navigate with that tension. We can't just be comfortable with the white and the black. We have to be comfortable with the gray areas. And I think those tensions are really showing that those are beings who are very faithful to who they are. They're very faithful to the life that they chose. They're very faithful to the love that they chose. And then you have this thing interrupting, almost annoying, but you can't resist it at the same time. Annoying and irresistible at the same time. And life sometimes is like that. You you know you want something, you get it, you're grateful for it, and then you have this other thing that pops out of nowhere that really throws you off. And if you are a laid back kind of person like Timothy, you want to explore it and kind of see what's going on there. If you're like Celeste, that's a threat. That's you becoming to disturb my life. And so I wanted the readers to understand that yes, life is full of moments where we are constantly in that tension. And sometimes we have to ask ourselves some questions. And I appreciate at the beginning when you said it's really beyond romance, because it really is. You have to ask yourself questions such as, what I'm sensing right now, my desires right now, is it worth me jeopardizing what I built? Mm-hmm. Is it worth me forgetting where I've been, the choices I've made? Can I always have what I want? You see, those are questions that you can extend it beyond love. Yes. You can extend it beyond the romance. But if you think about it, our daily lives, we ask those questions all the time in different settings. So I was hoping that the readers will be able to catch that tension and feel familiarity with it, because we all go through moments like that.
No, it's true. Yeah. And even thinking about each character in the book, you see that the tension, whether it's with somebody else or within themselves, it added to their development by the end of the book. It did. You can't say that Timothy's the same Timothy from the beginning of the book, or his son Danny, or Bryce, or Celeste. Like, they all have changed because of their interactions, but also those interactions cause them to ask those questions to themselves too.
See, I'm curious now, as the author, I'm curious, who was getting on your nerve the most? If anybody was.
Well, like I was saying before, I used to love Timothy.
Okay.
Because I felt like he was processing what he was feeling and acting on it, but it wasn't in an unwise way all the time. But at least he's being like truthful with what he's feeling and wanting to communicate that well. Yeah. And for me, who frustrated me was Celeste, because she wasn't doing that. Okay. I was like, okay, you're feeling this, so talk about it, or bring it up, or express it. Like, even if, can you have what you want? That's a big question in this book. But it's like, okay, we can maybe have a conversation about it, or even just explore, think about it, or share. But it's so obvious, her body language or how she's feeling is much different than what she was telling the people around her.
Quite dramatic.
Exactly. So that's why it was irritating me before. But again, I've converted now.
You've converted. I wonder why. What made you convert?
You just put yourself in her shoes. And honestly, when I was reading the book, I was in Timothy's shoes the whole time. And I was like, I just love Timothy. I want Timothy to have what he wants.
But when she saw how angry Celeste gets, she immediately knew her shoes had to change.
Oh, wow. No, I don't have the same anger as Celeste, but I understand where she's coming from. Okay. It's like, okay, I can see why she's reacting that way. And her circumstances brought that too. Yeah. So it's not totally deserved.
Their background is very different.
Exactly. Yeah.
I would definitely say both of the characters were frustrating me. Because like she was, I feel like for me, when I was reading this, I was really hoping we would have like Olivia Pope, President Fitz type of situation.
Wow, so you wanted them just to go in right from the beginning.
Straight into it, the tension, the attraction, and then they already knew like there's something about this person, like you were saying earlier, that's different. So, or what's the move? You know what I mean? But we didn't get that. So I was just like, throughout the whole book, I'm like, okay, Timothy, be a man.
Were you tempted to skip?
Be a woman. Like,
were you tempted to skip the pages to see where they actually
did skip the pages. And then I was like, okay, man, let me actually read this book. So I'm telling you, like, those spaces where, like we were talking about earlier, the silent moments, in my head, I was filling my mind up, and I'm just like, okay, like, when is the next move going to happen? When are they finally just going to be like, okay, you know what? This is what we want. We're just going to do, but we weren't getting that. Mm-hmm. The linger of the silence and the linger of them still waiting and still trying to see, like, hey, what is this?
That's very interesting to me, because I was kind of hoping also that as the readers will be between that tension of okay, get it on, we want y'all to be together, but at the same time, like, wait, because I don't want to spoil it for some, but then there are some reality and some truth that come. You're like, wait, they can't.
Exactly. But then when you read, you see shows like Olivia.
I know you going back to Scandal, but even if let's talk about Scandal. If you talk about that, the whole time, you love the romance, you love what's happening with them, but then you're like, you see the other people.
Exactly.
You see those who are getting hurt about that. You see those,
And that's a part of what I was thinking about throughout the book, like what has changed for me in the beginning. Oh, I just love Timothy and I want what he wants. But then you expand. It's not just Celeste and Timothy. There's also his son and Bryce, and and I don't want to get too much into it, but I do want to talk about those other characters as well.
Okay.
They're a part of the book, and it actually adds to the nuances that are there within Celeste and Timothy's relationship.
Right.
And so I was wondering, with specifically, I'm gonna ask about Bryce, because I'm a Celeste lover. We're in it together. We're in it together.
Yeah.
But we don't hear about him in the beginning.
Not much.
It was shocking to my system. Let me just say that before I ask my question.
I closed the book.
But
I was like, you know what? We're done.
But I was wondering exactly too much. It was a lot. So then I was wondering, oh wait, this plot is shifting from just Celeste and Timothy.
Yeah.
Now we have this other factor. So I wanted to understand a little bit on the romance part.
Yeah.
Was that meant to be this like love triangle, or was it more? This is just someone that adds a little bit of complication or tension. Like, was it supposed to be us seeing Celeste's, going back and forth? Like, what was your thought process by bringing him in, and at the timing that you brought him in?
Right.
Yeah.
Very good question. I wanted to kind of zoom out on Timothy and Celeste for a minute, and then zoom in on each one of them to kind of now show you who they are, where are they from. That's why I talk a little bit about where she's from, her parents.
Yes.
So it gives you a setting about who she is, and then I have to also introduce who is in her life, because that also explains a little bit who she is.
Right.
And she also has a beautiful story. You see,
Whether
and that whether you like that or not,
Yeah.
and I think that brings that tension to show how complex life can be, because she filled this pool here, not necessarily because she didn't have a pool there.
Right.
Yeah.
You see?
Right.
Like, because people will assume, well, I'm having a pool here because I can feel a pool there. No, but she has a beautiful story. Successful. She's loved.
Yeah.
I mean, he is in love with her. So you have all of that, but still, this mysterious nonsense. That's why she's reacting like that. She's like, get out of here. Like, stop disturbing me. But then I can't stop thinking about you at the same time. So I wanted to zoom out from them and then zoom in on each one. That's why I introduced her life a little bit more, so that we could know who she was, or who she is, I should say. And I did the same for Timothy as well for a moment. And Timothy, really, you see also his background. You see how he grew up. You see why he's the way he is. And you can also see that he's always been constant. And I think that's something why people connect with Timothy so fast, because he's kind of constant. He's the same guy you met. He's the same guy. But her, it's like, who are you, lady?
Right.
Calm down, sit down, right?
Yeah. Complicated.
Very complicated.
Yes.
Dramatic, complicated. But that's what makes her being her.
Right.
So I just wanted to zoom in on them as characters so we could meet them, get to also love them individually, and love who they are and what was happening in their lives, and also to be happy for them individually.
Yeah.
You see, because I didn't want it to look like that tension, that attraction, or what was happening between them was because of a lack
Of
per se.
something, yeah.
It was not necessarily just that. It's just that life is complicated.
It is complicated, and that seems like the theme for this entire book.
Gay complicated.
No, genuinely. And that's also, side note, why I think it would be such a great movie. And even with the
that's true.
timing, yes,
Thank you so much.
genuinely, because it's just a complex plot. And it's like, whose side are you on? Is there a side to be on? Or is this just how life can be sometimes? So I think that's why it'd be really cool, because you don't really see this very often, this kind of plot going
Plot
up
going
and
that
down,
way,
and then
yeah.
getting to see their complex emotions that they have to deal with.
Right.
So,
And I think I really appreciate, that's a great compliment that you think it will be a good movie. I'm a movie lover. It's a great compliment. I appreciate that.
If you need the cast, let me know.
You know, what I thought of was, speaking of, we can already use your album of music that you created in the movie, because I just want to say, I imagined in my head whenever Timothy would describe like what he sees when he sees Celeste, I'm like, okay, Celeste's song is playing right now. You know, the spicy music, or her green eyes, her curly hair, or she's looking at him and Timothy's music starts playing, or the tension moments, the silent
So you
moments.
see what the silent moments have done? They give you a lot of room
and
to
then
think.
it put me in a whole bunch of emotions after, because I didn't get what I wanted.
Yeah.
But speaking of Bryce, we can hop on to Timothy as well. And Timothy's life, you know, Kelly is that's a woman right there.
Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly.
Everybody loves Kelly,
Yeah, moment
right?
of silence for Kelly. Yes,
Okay, we're good.
All right.
Y'all say a moment of silence for Kelly?
She created a lot of silence moments, so I kind of wanted to have a long one too.
Right.
But speaking of Kelly, one thing that I really like about Kelly is that she never felt like she was an obstacle that had to be removed. Kelly knew who she
Throughout
was.
the book.
Throughout the book. Whole book. Timothy was constant, but I would definitely say Kelly as well was very constant.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, to be honest, I feel like the reason why Timothy was constant was because he got that influence from Kelly. Because even whenever you read about Timothy when they were younger, Kelly has always been the same. When Kelly was young, like you were saying earlier, that just immediate, like everyone wants to be friends with her, everyone wants to, you know, do these things with Kelly. So I just wanted to ask, why was that important to you to have Kelly be such a woman of dignity and depth and deepness, and just knowing who she truly was, and knowing also what true love was beyond herself, but also towards Timothy as a character?
Right. So Kelly was a very interesting character for me because, like I said earlier, I don't have an outline.
Right.
As I was writing, it just felt right that there had to be someone there. So as I'm writing, it felt right for her to be the way she was, for him to be how he was as well. So she was really that voice of reason. She was that strength. He was very laid back. She was the one that was the organizer, the planner, the one very anchored in her faith as well.
Right.
And all of that, right. And she was really an anchor,
Right.
for Timothy, not just when Gate 7 starts, but from the beginning, when you read about her story. And she's gorgeous,
Right.
beautiful woman. She's faithful, she's loyal. Look how she took care of her own sister. So she's like the typical girl you want to be friend with, that you love. And that shows also who Timothy was. And I think as I was zooming into Timothy, I wanted to show him, and one of the best way to show him was to also show who he loved and who loved him. So showing Kelly, showing their son. Don't want to spoil it for everybody, but it's just a beautiful way to go into Timothy's world and understand a little bit why he feels so anchored. He doesn't feel chaotic. Does that make sense? Like when you read about him, you feel home.
Absolutely.
Yeah, with Celeste, it's like, okay, it's home, but it's like chaos. Like I need to do some cleaning here or something.
Exactly. And that's honestly a perfect way to say it, because I think that's also why I had such a connection with Timothy from the beginning. So anything that he wanted, I wanted for him. Anything that he said, I wanted him to say. Like whatever the case is for Timothy, I really like that. But I think you have to acknowledge setting up his home life, his background, his parents. We even talk about his parents, Kelly, their son. So it's just thinking about all of those things that created him. It feels like he was whole. And then for Celeste, we started to get those bits and pieces, but it was a little bit later. And so I think that's also why I didn't really have a quick connection with her. But as a year later, I start to see it. Because it's like, I can't just forget about the background pieces that we heard about.
Right.
And so that same way that it kind of changed for me as a reader, I'm wondering if now a year later for you, Have you had like a different understanding of the characters, especially now hearing there wasn't an outline, it just flowed? Are you understanding more nuances or complexities about the characters today than when you first had the book, like first were writing and when you released it? Has your understanding of them changed?
I will say not necessarily changed, but I will say that when a year later, when I read it again, I'm like, wow, that was a lot.
I'm glad you know.
That was a lot for a human being to go through.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, there's outside tension, you can always kind of turn it on and off if you want to. But when the tension is inside, it's difficult.
Yes.
It drains you. And so it was interesting to see how different people respond to tension also very differently.
Yes.
Timothy, I noticed throughout the book, he responded to that tension with being more curious. And he was still calm about it.
Right.
But her, it was anger because she felt like something was getting out of control and she's very controlled.
Yes.
So for me to read that, I was like, wow, that was quite a lot. And again, it brought the conclusion in me as an adult, as a married woman. It brought that conclusion in me like, wow, life is really complicated. Some things you can't just explain it like that.
Black and white.
And one thing also that I can say now that I didn't necessarily realize as I was writing about them, I kind of felt proud of them a little bit.
Okay.
Because that tension was very hard to go through.
Absolutely.
And, they almost give in a few times. But because they were very anchored into what they chose for them, into their lives, faithful to what they decided was good for them, that they resisted a lot of that tension. So, but it was still hard to resist. So I felt very proud of both of them. I know they both arrived there differently, and it took a long time. But I was kind of proud of them as an adult, of the fact that they were able to resist a lot of their pulse. It was very real. It was very real, but can I always get what I want? So I was proud of them. I should say that. Yeah.
That's really cool. Honestly, to even see that too, it's kind of like they're your kids, thinking about that. It's like, okay, even if you didn't have an outline or a lot of control, but you did as the writer, and it wasn't like you were going in from, okay, outline, this is controlled, this is how the character is. It's like, no, I'm experiencing them as we experience.
I really was, and that was kind of hard because I remember when I got to the scene. Try not to give too much here, but my favorite scene is towards the end, when they meet in South America.
Okay. South America had a lot of.
I love that scene when she's talking to that gentleman and he comes in. Yeah. That's my favorite scene.
See, I don't know why Timothy is just calm like that.
Smooth, right? And he's older. And they've both been through a lot. But I will tell you, it was kind of hard for me because as I was writing, I was like, okay, where do we go from here? Because again, I don't have an outline. And I was like, okay, just flow with them. So many times, actually, as I'm writing, I would stop and I'd be like, okay, let's just calm down for a minute.
Really? You were doing that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And because I try to describe them in a way that leaves room for the readers to also have imagination. I didn't want to describe them like someone, let's say an actor that we know, an actress that we know, because then you kind of puts in the box. But that gives you, so your Timothy probably looks very different than mine and so on. But all of our Timothys feel the same.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah,
it's
aura
the same.
that he
All
had.
of it. It's same for Celeste. So it was, So it was really beautiful to see them evolve like that. But many times I got frustrated a little bit because I'm like, okay, so where do I go from here?
Right.
Because you'll be surprised. I didn't know how it ended as I was writing it. I never knew.
That's an author right there.
I don't know. Thank you so much. But I really didn't know how I would end it. So I think I realized how I would end it after the last scene when she does again what she always does. It's after that one that I was like, okay, I think we're gonna land it here. We'll land it this way. So that's when I knew. But from the beginning, I didn't know if You know, I could have ended it like that. There was no full circle. Like it could have been something completely different.
Right.
Ooh, and if you did, I'm sorry. If it didn't end the way that I did, I would have stopped the last page. Well, the second to last page, and I'm not finishing. Like, I'm gonna get what I want.
You know, sometimes we don't get what we want.
No, exactly. And
That's the theme of this book.
That's the reality.
life is complicated. You don't get what you want.
Right.
Things like that.
Or sometimes good things are meant to be waiting. You can wait for good things.
And we waited. We waited.
Man, I definitely do want to touch on something you said a little bit ago about how you said our Timothy may not be interpreted the way that you originally created Timothy, and I love that because that kind of shows how unique each mind, each reader is.
Right.
Because one person can have a completely different Timothy, a completely different Celeste. I know I have the right versions, but you just want to know how everyone else's versions of the
Your right
characters-
version? What is the right version?
I don't know. Her version is the right
You just have to have my mind to understand. A little bit complicated here too. So maybe I may be celestial. But I do want to ask, what is the most interesting or surprising comment from a reader that you got from their interpretation from how you originally created it and how you saw it yourself?
Right.
I want to hear this.
Ooh, I got a few actually. I got a few. But the first one that comes up in mind was actually from a male reader.
Wow.
Yes.
What did he say?
And the male reader was just completely thrown off by the pool scene.
Oh, okay.
By the pool scene, he was like, okay, why are they in a pool?
Okay.
You know, and I was not expecting that from necessarily a male reader, but he was very, and of course he's a married man, so for him it was like, oh my gosh, like I want to know more about this, but why are they there? They know they're not supposed to be there, so they're like, why did you do that? That's too much, that's a lot of emotion, we know we're not supposed to. But it was interesting to see, to see that reaction. Another reader was female, this one, and she just fell in love with Kelly. Fell in love so much with Kelly because she was like, wow, Kelly almost is a representation of that faithful, loyal, calm love.
Yeah, absolutely.
To the point that, me loving you, if me loving you means that I'm losing you, I don't mind losing you. And I think for that specific reader, that really spoke to her. Like, she loved, of course, the other characters, but for her, she was like, wow, that's the love that he had. So that's why he is the way, the way he was. Yeah.
Exactly.
So those are some of the comments that I've received that were interesting. I've of course received some comments about, okay, when is the next one coming, because we need to know what's happening with them. And I always say, let them be, they're leaving.
Because maybe it's been too long for us to get something else.
I mean, they probably somewhere, I don't know if they're in San Diego or Atlanta, but they're somewhere.
We can tag team on the next book.
Okay.
It'll go my way this time, guys.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of wanting more, with us finishing the book, like with the readers, I know you were saying again, you were flowing. As the ending came, it was new to you too.
Right.
But is there something that you were hoping the readers would also continue to like linger on, or to like have marinating, the kind of conversations that we'd be having after we were reading the book? What are some of those conversation topics, or maybe a question of,
right.
life is complicated, can you always have what you want?
Right.
What kind of conversations were you hoping readers to continue to have even after the book has been done?
Right. So many questions, like we talked about already earlier. Of course, one of them is, can you always have what you want?
Yeah.
Is something yours because you want it? That's a valid question because you may want something that is not meant to be yours. If something is meant to be yours, will you get it?
Yeah.
Will you always get it? Or can you miss something that is meant to be yours? Can you wait on something?
Is it worth waiting?
Is it worth waiting?
Yeah.
Or is it worth destroying what you already committed to?
Yeah.
Is it worth exploring the feelings that rises inside of you? Should you be more faithful and truthful to how you feel, or should you be more truthful to what you really know?
Yeah. It's hard.
You see, those are hard questions that I hope the readers were able to explore beyond just the romance, because those are questions that really, to me, goes beyond just a love story. However, it is a love story. So I also hope that the readers fell in love with the love in the story. That when something is meant to be yours, I believe it will be yours. When something is genuine and it's not. That's why I love the fact that it was never just physical here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, I know it was uncomfortable for some readers. I know it was like a stressful and like, oh my gosh, come on, get done with it. I know it was, back and forth like that. But I was that was actually one thing I was very intentional with. I didn't want a lot of touch to happen, because I wanted to show that intimacy is beyond the touching.
Yeah.
Because they were having very intimate moments and they were not touching each other.
Yeah.
But those are also conversations that I hope the readers can have. And and then the tension of how life can be complicated.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to learn to make some decisions that may not necessarily gratify your desire, but that's the wisest thing to do at that moment.
Yeah.
Sometimes the right thing to do doesn't feel right or doesn't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
But should we be beings that only moves with feelings, or should we add something else, some substance to our feelings? So I'm hoping that those are the conversations that got triggered through the book.
Oh,
and
I mean, I would definitely say for a book like this, yes, feelings is the way to go. But I definitely do agree. I think that this book goes beyond us just trying to figure out whether, they were right or wrong, but this kind of really shows us and asks us, okay, what does true faithfulness look like and how important it is? So I definitely also want to ask, are those truly the conversations you want our readers having after you read this book? Okay, what does true faithfulness look like? What is, like you were saying, if it's for you, could you miss it? Will it happen? If it's not meant for you just because you want it, is it truly for you? What more questions do you want our readers reflecting on and also looking at their life? Because I know that not everyone has a story like Timothy and Celeste, but I do think there are stories out there where people can relate.
Absolutely.
And people can, look at this and be like, hey, maybe that's a question I need to ask. And it doesn't actually have to be in regards to relationship. I think in general, there are some things we want as humans, but it's not meant for us. Yeah. Or it could be meant for us, but
it's the right time.
Not right now.
Not the right timing.
One time couldn't let go.
Right.
No pun intended. But so what more questions would you want our readers asking themselves and others as they reflect on this book?
Maybe who they are. What's their value?
Wow, that's very.
She went.
Like who you are. What's valuable to you? What's important to you? Because you have to make a decision at some point in your life to decide, okay, this is who I am. And so who you are should direct your feelings, your decisions, and not always the other way around.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that could be also one of the questions that a reader can get triggered by reading the book. Something else also I should add is that actually one of the readers told me that she was sad because it took that long.
Okay.
And she said, man, I don't want to spoil it too much, but but she was like, man, it took that long.
Yeah.
And I told her, sometimes certain things will take a long time. And I think we have to be comfortable with that as people, especially we are in this society where we're fast food society, microwave. We don't like things to simmer, to linger, because we feel like, oh, I've been waiting for it too long, then it must not be mine. Maybe not. Maybe it's taking too long because you have to mature. Maybe you have to deal with your own things. Because if you look at how they grew, they go through some very difficult time, both of them individually.
Yes.
Very traumatic events, right? So they had to also grow and evolve and heal from that. So when you see them meeting again towards the end, it makes sense that at that moment she could yield a little bit more. It always takes her a minute because it's Celeste, right? But because she grew, she matured a little bit, she now could give herself the permission to respond to this need and not feel like she was compromising a vow that she took. So I'm hoping that people can also see, that some of the readers can also see that, yes, some things will take time. And yes, of course, would it be better for them to meet when they were a lot younger and get together? Sure, but life didn't allow them to do so.
Yeah.
But now they're a little bit older, more mature, they've healed from a lot. She's still very dramatic, as you can tell. But at the end, she does what she does.
Yeah, that's true.
You see? So I'm hoping that people can give maybe themselves some grace.
Yeah.
Maybe that as well. Give yourself some grace because life is not always black and white. And you have to sometimes improvise. Sometimes you have to deal with the complexity of your emotions and make the decision of who you want to be within that tension.
Yeah.
You know what I do love too? Although it took very long and just years of roller coasters and emotions and stress and just disappointments and just, all those things, I definitely will say when it happened so beautifully.
Oh.
And so it's a reminder that like when it's time for the thing that's meant for you to come, the way that it will come is beautiful.
Okay.
And so I think it was a great reminder to me personally, because I was also reflecting, I'm like, okay, so even though it might take a bit of time, I needed that time. Like you were saying, they needed that time to come apart, grow, and then when they came back, it came back in such a beautiful way. So I think that was something that, stuck with me and I could relate to myself. And again, it doesn't just have to be in relationships, just life in general. When it's meant for you, when it comes in the right timing, it comes in a way that maybe we didn't expect it to, or maybe how we didn't imagine it to.
Right.
But it was better than we imagined.
So I'm curious, how did you guys think it would end as it was going? Oh, how did you hope it would end? Did it end the way you hoped?
Absolutely. I'm telling you, if it didn't end, I would have not finished the book.
It ended in the way that I wanted to. Obviously, in the moment, like I was saying, I was very biased toward one side. But yes, it still ended, and I still wanted that ending. But I think I appreciate it a little bit more because you're thinking about, again, it was just so complex.
Yeah.
And then they came to the decision that they did at the time that they did. And just like Zion said, it was beautiful. And so the timing that it took, it was what was necessary. And I think a little too long, but one of the questions that we were saying would be good for readers is like, is yours worth waiting for?
Right.
And I think that question was answered with the ending.
Right.
And so I think the way it ended is the way I wanted it to end, and I also think it's the way it should have ended. It is great, and it was beautifully put. It wasn't like rushed into it, or I know this is what y'all want as readers, so here's what we're giving it to.
Good.
And also, sorry,
go ahead.
No, I think that again, some of the questions you're bringing up of having grace with yourself. Who are you really?
Yeah.
Those kind of reflective questions is what they experience in the book. So we could even go back and look to them like, wow, they did answer this way.
They did.
And time helped them do that.
Yeah.
So speaking of time, thank you for your time.
Of course.
Yes,
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Really, a year later, you see, we also had to wait a year, but now we're here, and now we get the result we wanted by asking questions, and it was
so
beautiful.
Awesome.
And just like I changed from one now to the other and understanding them differently, I think as we continue, and that's what you're saying is the hope for all of us. As we finish reading it, we get to think of these things ourselves, and maybe ourselves we're evolving from that as well, thinking through and understanding ourselves and having grace for each other. So,
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for reading. I'm very grateful, and it's very pleasing for me to watch you guys react to those characters because
these are my reactions. I'm just letting you know.
And trust me, some of those reactions I had them myself as I was writing. I was like, "Are you sure you want to go that way?"
Yeah.
Okay, I will follow.
That's so because it's like it's almost you're writing the book, but it's like you're reading it
at the same time.
So
I know. It's quite interesting
because you're not even just thinking about the story. Also thinking about like I have people who are actually going to, read this, so like all the things that are coming with it.
Yeah.
You know, me, actually, I'm thinking about it. If it didn't end the way I had hoped it did and the way that it did, I would have been like, okay, well, she better make a gay 8 because I'm not about to sit around here and just like not have that happy ending.
Maybe the conversation would have been different if they it ended differently, because not all stories end well. That's also a theme there, because everybody's story in there didn't end well.
Yeah, you're right. It's just the ones that we're seeing and relating to.
Right. But there are other people in that book whose story did not end too well, unfortunately, and that's also part of that life of ours that's complicated.
Yeah. So it makes me excited for whatever you have next.
Thank you.
Whether it's gate 8, gate 9,
gate
or
10,
gate 20, or a completely different story. So I'm super excited.
Thank you.
And to hear your process too is also what makes me excited to see what's next.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and all your beautiful questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.